Hey guys, Sean here at the Gardener Center, and it is prime time for peonies here in our nursery. And with Mother's Day, which is actually kind of early this year, just around the corner, I figured this week would be a perfect opportunity to talk about these beautiful perennials that most people know. So stick around so I can give you all the lowdown on these beautiful peonies. All right, guys, so even if you don't know a lot about plants, peonies are one of those flowers that almost everyone recognizes. Even if you don't know the difference between a dandelion and a hydrangea, they are just one of those things that almost everybody knows. They're kind of like roses. They're just really familiar to people. Been used in flower arrangements forever, so people see them, and almost everyone's grandmother always had a peony bush in their yard. So I'm just going to go through and talk about some things. I have two different types of peonies here. Over here on the right, I have what would be known as herbaceous peonies. And for those of you who don't know, the word herbaceous, when we're talking about a plant, that means it's a type of plant that dies back and disappears completely during the winter months. So think hostas, think daylilies, think summer phlox, things that after we got a couple of freezes, they disappear and they're gone forever. So these are herbaceous peonies, so they're going to behave like that. And these peonies have been in cultivation for over 1,000 years here on this planet, which is kind of incredible when you're talking about plants, because this is an ornamental plant. There's certainly been things that we eat that have been cultivated for thousands of years, but this was a plant that people were cultivating strictly because they liked the way it looked. So, and that was happening mostly in China, during the Tang Dynasty, during the 10th century. These herbaceous peonies were a thing over there for a long time, hundreds of years. And then in the 19th century, once the Europeans got into these herbaceous peonies, they were very popular for the most part in France, and hundreds of cultivars were introduced in France during the 19th century and early 20th century. And there are actually over 6,500 varieties of cultivars and species of peonies on the planet. I have a couple here today to talk about, but this is the herbaceous group, and these are the ones that most people are familiar with. These guys are cut flowers, very popular as cut flowers. And kind of a fun thing is most of these come from Holland. About 40% of cut peony stems come from Holland or the Netherlands. And kind of a cool thing that's happened recently during the past 10 years is, believe it or not, because they come from Holland, their season is spring. So you're talking April, May, and into June. And then you really don't see a lot of peonies after that. But what's happened in the past 10 years or so is, believe it or not, Alaska has emerged as an up-and-coming source for cut peonies. They have crazy long days during the summertime there, and their temperatures are really cool, like our springtime temperatures. So there's actually a lot of cut peonies being produced in Alaska now. One of our employees that worked out in the nursery last year, actually, when she was done with us in the springtime, she went and spent the summer up in Alaska working on a peony farm, which was really cool. And I wasn't jealous at all that that Molly went up there and did that. But she went and worked on the peony farm, and it was really awesome to hear her stories and see her pictures. But so these are the herbaceous guys, the ones that most people know, and they are very easy to grow, and they can live for 100 years in a garden. Most perennials, even if you're an expert master gardener, a lot of perennials after 10, 15 years, they just kind of decline and go away on their own, which is perfectly normal. These guys can persist for 100 years. Their care is relatively simple. They want to be in a sunny place. The more sun, the better. They also like a really good soil. They like a soil that's loose. They like a soil with lots of compost, with very well amended sort of soil. They like moisture consistently, but they don't like to be in a soggy, wet feet situation. So once you get them situated properly, they can live for way longer than we will. So they're like a very permanent fixture in your garden. Before I move on to these other guys over here, the one other thing I want everyone to know about these herbaceous peonies, and you're going to see them mostly in like whites and reds and pink shades, is they have a tendency, because their flowers are very big, Their flowers are very big, especially the double ones. They have a tendency to, when they flower, if we get a heavy rain, they have a tendency to flop and become a hot mess in the garden. And it's kind of hard to rectify that after it's happened because the weight of the flowers bends the stems and it's hard to get them upright again. If you're growing peonies and you've had that problem in the past, or if you're thinking of planting peonies, you want these to be your friend. These are plant grow-through supports. This one is literally called a peony ring, and it's got a picture of a peony on it. And these are specifically meant to prevent your peonies from flopping all over the place. The mistake a lot of people make with these grow-through support rings is they try to use them after the plant has already flopped all over the place. And then, quite frankly, it looks like you stuffed a plant through a grow-through support ring. The trick with these guys is to use them right now. If your peonies are just emerging right now, these guys are a little bit ahead of yours that would be home in your garden because they've been in pots. But you want to get these on your peonies as soon as you know where they are. And this is just an open ring. I like this grid style even better. And you get this on them now and let the plants grow naturally through this grid system. Number one, you're not going to see this. Number two, your peonies aren't going to flop all over the place. It's just a great way to keep them looking tidy, and you won't have to worry about them flopping all over the place after we get that rain while they're doing their thing. Over here, and this is one of my favorite plants. Forget about favorite peonies. It's one of my favorite plants. So we have the herbaceous peonies. There is also a tree peony. And the tree peony behaves completely different from these. A tree peony would behave more like a hydrangea or a forsythia, where it's going to lose its leaves during the wintertime, but it's not going to disappear. We used to do these herbaceous peonies and tree peonies, but these are better. So these are Ito peonies. So back in the 1940s in Japan, a horticulturist, Tochi Ito, started playing around with crossing these peonies with tree peonies, and he developed these Ito peonies. And they're the best of both worlds. They have the foliage of the tree peony, they have the flowers of the herbaceous peonies, but what's really cool, the thing that I think is the most exciting about the Itos, is it introduces other colors. In the Ito peonies, you're going to find yellows, you're going to find apricot-y, peachy, almost orange colors, and kind of some rusty colors. So you have a lot more color choice with these guys over here. The other thing they inherit from the tree peonies is you won't need to use these on the Ito peonies because they have much stronger stems. Much bigger flowers, much stronger stems. They don't flop at all, so you do not need to use a cage on these. They still die back like the herbaceous peonies do, but you get the strength and the robustness that you would get out of one of the tree peonies. All these peonies are a great gift for mom. Mother's Day is coming up just around the corner. If you have a mom who gardens, first of all, if you have a mom that already has peonies, there's over 6,500 kinds. Get her another one, because guaranteed you're not going to get her the same kind she already has. And any mom who gardens is going to love to get a peony, trust me. But if you have a mom who gardens and you really want to knock her socks off, get her one of these Ito peonies. A yellow one, an orange one, they're absolutely spectacular. Her friends will come over and see them and be amazed. She'll be the envy of her gardening friends. The Ito peonies, please check them out. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.